August 25th. Can you believe it's like 60 something degrees up here. It went from 104 last Monday to like 63 this morning, Brenden. I don't know what it's like in Ocala. But you know what? It is football time. I watched that game in Dublin, Kansas State and Iowa State Saturday. I was texting with Tony Barnhart. I said, you're right. Not even the adults can screw it up. Rob Browne, Brenden Martin, we got a great lineup. 2 national championship coaches. One got his ring at Notre Dame, Pete Cordelli with Lou Holtz. The other one, Ellis Johnson, got his with the man from Paris, Texas, Beebs, Gene Stallings at Alabama, and an eyelash away with Auburn as well. We'll also be joined, Ellis Johnson, will also be joined by Dave Bartoo, College Football Matrix, Lights Out Gummies. He'll join us as well in the second half hour. Lot to cover. First off, take a picture with your phone of the QR code. We got the new Twitter address at Sidelines_live. You'll see it. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Got the best executive producer in the world, Brenden Martin, making this happen. And watch the reels and all the stuff on this channel coming out all day, every day. The best 60 minutes of SEC coverage anywhere. The Hour of Power. Robert Schuler was right. Hour of Power. So look, hey, beautiful day, and I'm wearing an All About Bikes shirt. I'm going over there today. Poplar and Melon
that new hat. That hat you've been working every day. I don't know. You're really feeling that Huck hat.
Huck, yeah. You're darn right I do.
I don't know if you've taken it off since you've been fishing. I just want to say. Let's bring in Coach. Rob, it looks good on you. So I want to say, you look great.
What did Rodney Dangerfield say? Hey, you buy a hat like that, you get a bowl of soup. It looks good on you to Ted Knight.
Beautiful, Rob.
Coach Johnson is there. He's got the headsets on. You know, we could make this even more coach-like. We could get some long cables going down to the field and everybody going, all right, what are you thinking on this? It's 3rd and 6. What do you think, Coach? Look, we all watched that game over in Dublin over the weekend. That was cool. That crowd, they were probably pretty liquored up. It was in Dublin, having a good time. Kansas State and Iowa State. That was fun. I watched by the way, I watched Kansas play later in the day against Fresno State. They have just invested $450 million worth of money now, including a $75 million check from Mr. Booth. I think he's on the stadium now. Guys, one thing that's happening right now, there's good football all over the country. And let's get started. Good morning, Coach Johnson. Good morning, Pete. Who wants to start with how great it is that it's college football season and dadgummit, the dog ate part of my schedule. I can't believe it. But let's get started, Pete. What were your takeaways from the weekend?
You know, Matt Campbell and Iowa State picked up right where they left off at the end of last year. And in first games, and I think Ellis will agree, you're always worried going into those first games because you haven't had a chance to go against outside competition. So it took a little while to get both teams going. The weather had a little bit something to do with it, but that fourth quarter was really exciting. And then for Iowa State to come back, it's a great 4th down call in that when you have all of the linebackers up on the line of scrimmage, back in the flat, it's really hard to defend. And especially with the linebackers having their feet at the same depth of the defensive linemen. Most of the time, they get picked off when they're trying to move outside.
Yeah.
We beat Southern Cal one year out in the Coliseum. They tried to blitz us up the middle, and I think Anthony Johnson caught about 8 passes in one quarter. But that was a great call by Iowa State. And then to take it down to the 1-yard line and run the clock out. Now, for Kansas State, I didn't understand that 4th down call on their own 30. Kansas State's defense is pretty good. But you know what? Interesting conference, Big 12 conference game to start the season out. And some people have speculated that these two teams will meet for the Big 12 championship. I think Arizona State's going to have something to say about that. But, that was a good game to get started. Kansas looked good. Dan Mullen struggled with UNLV. And then, my goodness, Stanford getting beat at Hawaii. That was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah. Coach Johnson, you watch those games as well over the weekend. fans are watching the game, but you see the full 22. I mean, that's when you can see every play on there. What do you think? I mean, those. I would not ask anybody in the SEC. Would you want to go play at night in Manhattan, Kansas, against Kansas State, or at Iowa State with those crowds? You've coached a lot of other places as well, Coach Johnson. There's good football all over the country, isn't there?
Yep, never been up to Iowa State, but we had to play Kansas State when Bill Snyder was still there.
I remember it
on a Thursday night on TV.
Yeah,
and I'll never forget. It's something unique about every place.
Yeah,
we're sitting there in the press box, kind of trying to get ready to start the game, and they have a motorcycle motorcade, and there's a track on that field, and they're circling it. I mean, you think you're somewhere at a road stop on the way to California. A bunch of Hell's Angels have pulled in.
There you go.
But we were able to beat them. And I got a nice note from Coach Snyder, one of the most cherished things I've gotten in my whole career. But what a class act he was. That was a heck of a ball game. To have to go over to Ireland and play it, and play an opener, what looked like not a real good surface, especially with all that rain. And both teams, I thought, really played very well. I would hate to take a football team over there and play over there any time of the season, much less an opening ball game. I've heard people that have done it before, and it really messes you up the next week. So we'll see how those two teams do. But I thought it was a really good football game. I hate to get negative, but the one thing that jumped out at me about all the other games, Stanford is almost basically got that game locked up. They get a sack on a trick play. Boy, I tried to run kind of trick play on fourth down. They sack them or tackle for loss. You can't tell whether it's going to be a reverse pass or a reverse. They've got a 12-yard loss, and the kid gets up and starts doing his little thing, on, dancing around and all that, and gets a 15-yard penalty instead of fourth and I don't know what. It's like 3-yard gain.
Yeah.
And they lose the ball game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I don't understand kids, but anyhow.
Well, it's I agree with you. It's so frustrating. Little, hitting a guy out of bounds and calling an effort penalty. Again, y'all are coaches, but it's the little things like intercepting a ball in the end zone and trying to run it back instead of taking a knee. And it's good to have a teammate, because what if you fumble the ball at the 5, they're right back in the end zone. And I remember that Thursday night game against Kansas State for Auburn. Auburn was more nervous than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. They made Auburn earn it. That Gothic stadium, 50-something thousand straight up. Once you get past 50 or 60,000, Dad always said architecturally, their sound difference isn't that much. So the lower bowl is where it is. But anyway, Coach, I didn't mean to cut you. You were going to say something.
No. My ex-wife actually got taken out of the stadium that game. She and Rhett Lashley's father almost got in a fight with somebody. They had to send the guy that escorted us on trips. They had to send him to find where they took them. So.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, a lot of crazy stuff happens at football games, but I'm watching that game from Ireland. You couldn't see the hash marks. And by the way, I've had a lot of people say, Browne, that was the coolest discussion last week. That's like getting Edison and Einstein and Kurt Vonnegut together for cocktails. The hash mark discussion last week. I mean, Pete, that was cool.
Don't let these guys blow smoke, Pete. They've been calling me Tom Cruise for a year and a half. I haven't had one casting call. They're full of crap.
No, but look. That was I'm watching that game Saturday. You couldn't see the hash marks because it was raining. I mean, I've been to Ireland a few times. Browne with an E is a common name in Galway Bay. That's about the only place it's common. But I remember it rained 6 times a day. We went horseback riding, and you go up in the countryside of Ireland and all these abandoned old rock cottages. There's nobody there. The potato famine went bad in the 1840s. No wonder they came over to America. It's a beautiful place, though. All right, we got some big games this week. Alabama at Florida State. We'll kind of put the menu out there. I think the key ones are Alabama at Florida State. I think Auburn at Baylor. You got Tennessee and Syracuse, LSU at Clemson, and looking here at the list, I think Tennessee, South Carolina, Virginia Tech, those are the five I think most, hey, these are really big games. Coach Johnson, Pete, I want to start with you, and we'll kind of do this quick, kind of rapid fire. Alabama at Florida State. What jumps out and makes you worry if you're Alabama?
Well, the biggest thing is that not defending Castellanos. He and Gus Malzahn have a little bit of a relationship, and defensively, I think Kane Womack is going to have this down to stop the quarterback run. And I'm picking Alabama to win the SEC this year. I just think with Ryan Grubb coming back, and he is Kalen DeBoer's security blanket. Those guys have been very productive everywhere they've been. And I think that defense, and Kane will get it straight. His dad, Dave, was a GA for us in '83 at Arkansas. He and J.B. Grimes, Dave Womack, J.B. Grimes were our GAs. I'm going to tell you, two really good guys. And now their sons are doing really good things coaching. So, but I just like Alabama knowing that last year wasn't the Alabama standard, but with so many changes with a first year new staff and new communication, this is a team chomping at the bit. And then Castellanos threw a little fuel on the fire, going, well, they don't have Nick Saban anymore. You know what? Kellen DeBoer's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and they've got
and this team. Yeah. I just think, but defensively slowing down Castellanos and getting after him a little bit, and then on offense, don't turn the football over. Ty Simpson, new starter. Don't go on the road and turn the football over. The best thing that you can do when you're the visiting team, get the lead, make the home team play from behind to take the home crowd out of it.
Yeah. Well, if you look over my left shoulder right there, you remember what that was? Robert Baker went to P.K. Young High School in Gainesville, Florida, played football for Auburn. That's the '96 Auburn-Georgia game. He scored a touchdown, and when he did, he ran right into Uga, and the dog jumped up and almost bit him in his swimsuit area. It was a very close call, I might add. Jeff Boone gave that to me yesterday. One of my friends, a huge Georgia Bulldog fan, love Boone. He also gave me this chair. I've got a King Ranch leather chair I'm in now from his uncle Jesse, who was an orthodontist. So it's not a dental chair, but it's a King Ranch chair. Coach Johnson, I'm so fired up. I'm like a 9-year-old on Christmas Eve wanting a 10-speed. This is awesome right now. It's cool in the air right now. I want to ask you about Auburn at Baylor. Baylor, Dave Aranda's familiar with the SEC. Going on the road, it's never easy. How do you attack Baylor, and what do you know about this game that you like? And if you're Auburn, what keeps you up at night?
I was a big fan of Aranda, and I'm a little surprised that they're sort of enough. I don't know, they're not in a real smooth mode, but I think it's a very dangerous game for Auburn because of what you said on the road. A lot of new faces. He's had to almost rebuild this roster over 2 years. And those would be the things that concern me. But could be a really, really good ball game. I think Auburn will probably have a lot better talent, but I don't know if it'll be gelled together in this short of a time. But I think they'll win the football game. I think if they go down and don't turn the ball over and shoot themselves in the foot, they'll win the football game.
You know, the truest thing, coaches, y'all know this, you're way better your second game compared to your first game typically, kind of like spaghetti. It's just usually better the second day, except when my mother-in-law makes it. And Pete, she's not Italian for the record, but Ann Ham makes some damn good spaghetti. All right, so Pete, I want to ask you about Virginia Tech, South Carolina. We got fans of all different fan bases, and I'm going to tell you what, Coaching Chatter and College Football Rumor Mill, thank you. They repost our stuff every day. And wow, a lot of people are watching, and it's about this whole team. But the Beamer Bowl, I'm a huge Frank Beamer fan. My brother-in-law played football for Virginia Tech, 73-76. Yes, he was in Tuscaloosa when they lost 77-3 to Alabama. He said that was a tough ride home. Not much conversation, but the Beamer Bowl in Atlanta. I'm going Sunday. I got a ticket.
Well, I just think, since Coach Beamer was there, and he started out with Phil Elmation, who I coached with at Minnesota and played for Lou at William and Mary, and And then Coach Bud Foster took over as the
Yep.
defensive coordinator. And I mean, and their special teams were always good. And I think that's been something that Virginia Tech is trying to get back to. But Shane Beamer, he's doing a heck of a job putting that roster together in South Carolina. Now, Mike Shula takes over as the new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what new wrinkles Mike has added for Lenora Sellers. You know, if Sellers doesn't get hurt last year, they beat LSU. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
Sellers, his upside is tremendous. And this South Carolina defense, they lost a lot of guys, but they're pretty solid. Brent Pryce coaching for his job. The heat is on. Yeah. And I just believe South Carolina is the more talented team here, but it's going to be one heck of a game. I see South Carolina winning this one and pulling away in the fourth quarter. Coach
Johnson, what do you think happens?
Well, I agree basically with Pete. I think South Carolina's got too much talent, but a lot of it is just newly added, and it's a first ball game, so a little bit like some of these portal teams, they got a lot of new faces. I don't know if y'all saw the other day, guy on the staff that I'm really biased and most close to is Travion Robinson, their defensive line coach. Yeah. He had a car accident the other day and a serious ankle injury. And he's gone for a little while right now. I don't know when they'll have him back out on the practice field and so forth. I don't know if that would really hurt their progress, but I think he's probably proven to be the best position coach that you could want. I mean, the production he got out of those guys last year and the year before was a whole lot more than they'd been getting before, and it was critical to that defense. So hopefully that'll come around. That won't be a problem for them. Yeah. In preparation. But the thing that concerns me about Carolina is it's all about Sellers. And he's one of those guys that in any given game, he'll just take the ball game over. But he's also had some days where he made some really bad decisions. Curious, you know what Pete mentioned earlier with Mike. Mike took over for the bowl game, and it seemed like Lenoris was more in an NFL mode. He was trying to stay in the pocket and run through the progressions, et cetera. Not as much action with his feet. And I don't know if it was planned, coached, or if it's just the decisions the kid made. But he wasn't nearly as effective, and he got beat. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how much he can take on his shoulders, because I think they're going to be a clear notch down on defense this year as compared to last year. They were really good last year.
Yeah.
And I think that it's still a little bit of a question mark how much help Sellers has around him. Yeah. So they may be putting an awful lot on the kid, but he's physically capable of doing it.
Yeah. I think South Carolina lost.
If I could say something here, a guy like Sellers, and I agree with Ellis, but it becomes the unscripted play. You know, you practice this, you practice that, and then all of a sudden protection breaks down, and here goes Sellers for 35 or 40, and he's running over guys. And so it becomes the unscripted play that becomes the difference in the game. And I think this is going to be a huge part of it, like Ellis said, to watch, is how much Sellers' legs carry South Carolina's offense.
Pete, you recruited a kid out of Woodruff, South Carolina when you were at Notre Dame, Tony Rice. Trivia question. I'm going to bet you. Now, I know you've got options in Nashville. You've got choices. You've got White Castle and Crystal. So for a steamer pack of crystals, if you can answer this question, Lenora Sellers is from Florence, South Carolina. What famous Revolutionary War hero is from there? You know? Oh, we lost him. Wait a minute. He was Googling. I'm sorry.
Man, I'm not very good at history.
Yeah, it was Mel Gibson.
It was Mel Gibson played the role in The Patriot. You remember, Pete, you muted? Yeah. Pete, it was Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox, was from Florence, South Carolina. All right, Pete, we may have muted for a second. All right, Pete, can you hear us?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, Pete, you got it back. All right, Pete. So Francis Marion, and remember there was Marion Campbell, former coach of the Falcons. They called him, I think, didn't they nickname him the Swamp Fox? But by the way, speaking of the Falcons, I love what Ben Troop says. He's a lifelong Falcons fan from over in, around Augusta, Georgia. And he says, when I die, I'm going to have 6 Atlanta Falcon football players as my pallbearers. Why do you say that, Ben? He goes, so they can let me down one last time. That's brutal. But Coach Johnson, hopefully Pete can come back with us. All these games, and I'm going down the list. So Texas and Ohio State, Coach, up at the shoe, and Arch Manning, the hype train is on the way to Columbus, Ohio. I don't think the average person realizes how tough of a place that is to play at. How do you attack Ohio State if you are Steve Sarkisian, who you know?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's probably a better question for Pete, but I agree with you 100%. That is going to be a tough environment.
Yeah.
Just the noise factor.
Yeah.
And Arch Manning's probably as talented as anybody in the country, but I don't know if he's ever played in that kind of noise as a college football starter. He started a couple of games last year, but I can't remember where they were.
In Austin.
So it's going to be a little tough. Now, I really believe they've got a challenge. And the other day, the bookies, this is the first time the number 1 ranked team in the preseason polls is an underdog on their first game. And I give Ohio State a little edge in this game.
Yeah, and they lost a lot of players. But Julian Sayin, who was at Alabama briefly, and then when Coach Saban retired, he transferred to Ohio State. And I'm with Ohio State under Ryan Day has only lost 7 or 8 games in his 6 years there. Most of those have been to Michigan, and it will be a very tough out. Pete said I'd be blitzing Arch Manning before he got off the bus, and we'll get into it with Dave Bartoo in a second. Texas's defense, and defense. You're one of the best defensive coordinators. Tom Cruise, Brother Oliver. You've worked with the best. How do you attack Ohio State? They've got a new quarterback too. I mean, brand new.
Yep, that's the only thing that'll help that kid's playing in a friendly environment as far as the fan base. But they got to break in a freshman quarterback, just like just like Texas. Excuse me. So I think they've got their issues too. I think Ohio State can play it a little bit more of a ball control type game and have a little advantage with that home field. But it's going to be a good one. And I really think, this has been a non-conference game. I think it has a lot less impact on what happens down through the season, but you just know the amount of hype because of Manning and because of Ohio State defending the national championship, because of Texas being ranked right now the number 1 team in the nation. It's just got so much contributing to the hype on it right now that, there'll be an overreaction to who wins or loses, but that's college football.
Oh, yeah. And that is absolutely right. People overreact on all of this stuff. Pete, come back in here with us here, and we'll see you. I'm thinking about all these betting lines. What is the latest line that you saw Texas and Ohio State? Because I know Pete, we're going to get Pete to talk about it, that Texas is an underdog as a number 1, which, by the way, in their storied history of Texas football, it's the only time they've ever been a preseason number 1. Pete Cordelli, you've played in the shoe. You've played in Columbus as an opponent, as a visiting team. Their 2 best players are both from the South. Caleb Downs from Metro Atlanta and Jeremiah Smith from Fort Lauderdale. And by the way, bit of trivia, of the top 10 high school teams in the ESPN top 10 high school in America, the first 6 are all Catholic high schools. But I digress, Pete Cordelli.
Well, you knocked me off the air there with Crystals or White Castle. I'm sorry. But, I'm more of a Whataburger guy. But anyway, so Whataburger.
Whataburger it will be.
-2.5 is the latest I've seen, which, I think Texas can win this by 2 touchdowns. And I just, look, Arch Manning has the best 2 resources available to help him get ready for this new defensive coordinator. Matt Patricia, coming from the NFL, he's got his two uncles, Eli and Peyton Manning, who played in the NFL forever, who I'm sure he studied a bunch of film with and said, okay. And Peyton had pretty good success against New England when Patricia was there. Yeah. So the reference that those two guys, Eli had pretty good success against them as well. So I think that in this first game, to go along with what Sark can do, now Texas has to replace both tackles. They also have to replace a lot in the defensive line. But Ohio State's got a lot to replace, along with Jim Knowles. I coached with Jimmy at Western Michigan for 2 years. And we had a young guy by the name of Jason Babin, who Jimmy moved around a bunch. He was on the outside backer on one side. Then he was the Mike in a 3-down. Then he was he always moved him. And Babin was the MAC Defensive Player of the Year 2 years in a row. And then he was the first-round pick of the Houston Texans. Yeah. Jimmy Knowles can mix things up. I don't know if Matt Patricia's going to do all that, but it'll be interesting to see. And then you got a new play caller on offense. Chip Kelly was one of the best. And now you've got a guy who hasn't called plays before. So new quarterback, new personnel. Sark has been studying this for quite a while. I like Texas in a big way in the shoe.
Yeah. Coach Johnson, you and Pete both have a way of taking a lot of complex minutia and putting it in the vernacular. Again, let's get it down to where our man from Bug Tussle, Tennessee, Jethro Bodine, can understand it. It's your first game, Arch Manning, on the road, going in a hostile environment. You're his offensive coordinator, or Steve Sarkisian. What are you telling him? Just go do what you do. I mean, you are a man who's very direct.
Yeah, I think what they do is, they do what he does best. Obviously, what they want to do is try to establish a good running game, take some weight off his shoulders. Don't have too many situations where you've got to throw the ball downfield from the pocket because, as you said earlier, they're going to try to bring blitzes and change looks and do all these unique things. It's easier to do that on third and extremely long because you don't have to be that sound in every way up front. You try to do that on 3rd and 3, you get your britches burned by just a simple draw play or, different things. People's talking about a little backslide in the flat. All that stuff becomes huge weapons when you stay with the sticks and you don't get behind schedule.
Yeah.
If they're in third and extremely long too much, then they're going to get him in trouble. I don't care how talented he is.
Yeah.
But I agree with everything from an analytical standpoint that Pete said. I still think that environment, unless Ohio State lets it get out of control early, that environment's going to be tough for them to handle with the noise factor.
Yeah. I was on.
Can I say one more thing? The one difference this year when this Texas offense compared to last year with yours is the quarterback run package. When Arch got into games last year, a number of times quarterback power was called or zone read was called.
Yeah.
And he kept the football. So his legs, quarterback draw, like Coach Johnson says on 3rd and 3. The key to me in this game is winning first down. If you can gain 4 yards on first down or more and put the defense behind the sticks, Texas has the advantage. And the other thing is Arch's ability to run the football is totally different than what Texas had a year ago with yours.
Yeah. Well, Friday morning, I think it was Thursday or Friday morning, I was on Shane Matthews. He asked me to be on his morning podcast down in Gainesville. And I just said, you got 15 seconds. I'm just asking you a 15-second answer. You're the coach at Auburn before Jackson Arnold runs out on that field against Baylor. What do you say to him? He goes, Coach Spurrier would say, go make some completions, throw the ball around, let's have fun, just do what you do. And you can say too much and, it's too much. All right, so next game. We hadn't talked about this one yet, but we've talked about it a lot this summer, especially with Will Vandervoort from the Clemson Insider. Love that guy. LSU travels to Clemson, Coach Johnson, and your son is on that team at Clemson. I mean, how cool is it having a son playing for, I mean, God bless. No emotions involved here, but you are, you get to go to practice at Clemson with Dabo Swinney, who I'd love to have on this show anytime from Pelham, Alabama. But let's talk about that matchup, because we had the executive director of the College Football Playoff Committee, Rich Clark, on with us Thursday morning. And the new metric, I said, we got a new metric. How are you going to apply that this season? He said, first off, if you lose a game like LSU at Clemson, it doesn't wipe you out. Just don't lose to a lower level team. That could hurt you. But let's talk about the battle for the real Death Valley.
Yeah, I think this one, just like we talked about Ohio State and Texas, what it does to you late in the season is, I think, it's going to be overhyped when this one's over. But it is what it is. And I think everybody making a big deal out of Kelly not being able to win his opening games. They're making a big hype over that.
Yeah.
Clemson's got a lot of good returning players. They're getting hyped up as a possible national champion. So there's a lot of buildup going on. And I don't know that either one of these teams are as good as they think they are. People say they are. Maybe. If they stay healthy, I know Clemson's got a heck of a shot. But I'm concerned a little bit about their depth in a few different positions. They got a huge advantage playing at home and at night. It'll be a tough environment, but LSU's been in 10 of those every year. So we'll just have to see. They got the oldest, most mature quarterback in the league. Should be able to handle that environment. I think they feel like their running game is going to be better this year and can help him out a little bit more. Their defense is supposed to be vastly improved with new faces. It ought to be a heck of a football game. And I think I'm curious how much Clemson has improved their running game. If they have, and they got a little bit of balance, they're going to put points on LSU. If it gets to be something where Cade's got to make too many critical plays, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Pete?
I think that I totally agree with Ellis, especially about Garrett Nussmeier. Nussmeier's, in the past, he's had a tendency to try to make the big play when he shouldn't. Just take what the defense gives you. I mean, but he can make all the throws. I think LSU got the steal of the portal this year in Browne. Browne played high school football here in Nashville, went to Kentucky. He is a big, strong guy who can absolutely fly. He can catch through contact. He knows how to get his body in position to make the catch, but he can run by folks in a heartbeat. It will be interesting to see if Clemson can stop Caden Durham, the running back for LSU, like Ellis said. If they can, I expect Browne to be the guy that's going to be the big playmaker and go get those 50-50 balls that Nussmeier throws up. Now, on defense, Harold Perkins comes back. 2 years ago, Perkins was really good. Whit Weeks stepped up last year, so now you got Perkins and Weeks on the outside as the two edge rushers. And I think it's going to be really critical that Klubnik gets the ball out of his hands quickly before one of these two outside edge rushers get to him. But as in all first games, quarterbacks have to protect the football, don't turn it over, and play well in the kicking game. Because Browne's also going to be a guy that's going to return kickoffs and punts. But he to me was the steal of the portal. He could have gone anywhere in the country and made whatever team he went to better. But he's gone to LSU, and now with Nussmeier's arm, I expect Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator for LSU, to test that Clemson secondary early. And if they're successful, watch out for the deep ball.
Real quick, Pete, you finally hit it right there at the end. I'm concerned about Browne in the return game a little bit. Clemson has lost some really good specialists, and their kicker, punter, those positions, they're not as consistent as they had been in previous years. Well, sometimes an inconsistent punter, it can mess up a return guy, can't get the ball in his hands. He's punted 28 yards one time and 60 yards the next time, and the return man never gets a clean fielding on the ball. But they have a little bit of inconsistency with the punting, and that makes it a little bit harder to cover too. So watch out that if that kid gets 2-3 chances to get started in the punt return game or the kickoff, he could be the biggest factor.
Yeah. Hey, Dave Bartoo will try to join us. He said it is elk season. He's in a remote area right now. If he can join us, he will. Maybe he's got a sat phone, but we're trying to get him on. But if not, we'll get him on later during the week. But love having him on Mondays with y'all. All right, another game, Tennessee, Syracuse. Fran Browne was at Georgia for 3-4 years with Kirby Smart. Great recruiter. Fran's from New Jersey. Gets back up to Syracuse last year, goes 10-3 with his first season. Kyle McCord transferred from Ohio State. He's gone. They've lost a lot of players. Syracuse, when they come down south, they have something to prove. They got a chip on their shoulder. Pete, that game is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium Saturday at noon. I'll be because I don't want to stay around the house with our daughter and help them unpack all weekend. So I will be hauling ass down the MARTA to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and I'm going to go watch that game, and then I'm going back Sunday. But anyway, Pete, I digress. It's going to be, I think, a tougher game than people think.
Hey, Rob, you're going to be accused of what I've been accused by my wife and daughters. Every time there was a move, I was never there. You always use,
I'm on a recruiting trip.
Coaching is the excuse, and you never helped us when we had to move in. And I went,
That's right.
It's funny how that all worked out, but my goodness, y'all have done a tremendous job of setting up this house. Yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it. Just show me where my clothes are. And then my daughter said one day, they're in the driveway, Dad. We're tired. You got to go get your own. So
there you go.
That's just part of coaching, right? All right, Coach Johnson. I mean, but I just think Fran Browne has played against Tennessee before. I think his experience of playing against Josh Heupel in this offense, especially with the uncommon splits of the wide receivers, this to get Angeli, the new quarterback who transferred in from Notre Dame, settled in. I think Syracuse is going to have to play great defense early. The one thing that concerns you about Tennessee, there's no Dylan Sampson on the roster. That guy was a heck of a running back last year. So if they can stop the run, and Tennessee has a new quarterback, I think Fran Browne's going to bring some pressure early to see if Joey Aguilar can handle the pressure. So I think it's going to be Syracuse's defense early against the Tennessee offense. And then how long will it take for Angeli to get into the flow of the game? A lot of people are predicting this to be a huge win for Tennessee. I mean, like blowout. And I'm like, man, I'm not sold on that. Not with all the problems. And then Boo Carter gets suspended. So, Tennessee's got a lot of question marks with a new quarterback. They lost. That Pierce kid was really a good player on defense. So they've got some pieces to replace. But I think this game is going to be closer than what people expect or what people think.
Yeah. Coach Johnson, looking at this, Joey Aguilar played the last 2 years at App State. And if you ever played up in Boone in a game, Coach Johnson, I mean, App State's got a really good program.
I've played up there. I've coached up there, and I worked there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Just let me tell you,
I've been to winter formals up there.
October.
Yeah, I've been up there in the winter for winter formals in college at Auburn, snow skiing. That is a fun place. But I mean, it is really cold up on that mountain with that wind in the winter.
Tell me about
so
it. Well, Moody, I asked you about Darryl the other day, Pete. Moody and I, some booster put us in a little mountain cabin over by the ski slopes. And Mac made it sound so good when he told us about it. And we go up there, and it's December, January. And we're out there for about 2 weeks in that damn place. The pipes froze. Not the water, but the drain pipes. So we couldn't bathe or brush our teeth. And so Ratface and I would get up in the morning, put on our coaching gear, get in the car, and drive into the office to take a shower and get ready for work. And we made it. We made it for about 2 weeks, man. I moved over to the facility and then eventually found me a townhouse. But you talk about brutal. The first time I ever went up there, I was playing at the Citadel, and we went up there on an early October day, played a day game, and those autumn leaves around the hills surround the stadium, and just a beautiful day. And I thought, man, this would be a great place to coach one day.
Yeah, and people just it's undervalued. I mean, it's not that far from Hickory and Charlotte and all. We were 26 miles away last year on the way over to Charlotte, and Audrey said, "No, you're not going to go walk around football stadiums. I can't take it." You know, but I love all these places that the pictures of Boone in the fall are spectacular. And I hope that Joey Aguilar is ready for the challenge. You know, and I'm looking at Texas A&M, UT San Antonio. Again, Pete, nobody talks about the Roadrunners. But remember that on the cartoon character. But they've got a legit program. UT San Antonio, I think if I'm not mistaken, they put Texas to bed during the NCAA baseball, like in the regional or the super regional last year. That won't be that easy. But Mike Elko, y'all both know him or know a lot about him. Everybody says fundamentally sound, and the Aggies have 7 of their top 8 offensive linemen back. And then Marcel Reed, who played with our intern, Oakley McFerrin, he was his quarterback at MBA up there in Nashville in Belmead.
Yeah, he sure was. And his dad was the head coach, Ron Reed, at Tennessee State. So he comes from a coaching family. Marcel is, he was committed to Ole Miss. He was committed to Lane Kiffin. And then he flipped his commitment to Texas A&M under Jimbo. And then so Mike Elko came in, but Marcel had a heck of a high school career here in Nashville. But Mike Elko, I really thought after the job he did at Duke, he might get a look at Notre Dame before they hired Marcus Freeman. And, because Mike was there. But you talk about a no nonsense. I mean, he sets the standard, he sets the rules, he sets the bar, and either players are going to live up to it or they're not going to play for him. And he is a and just fundamentally sound. And I think Texas A&M has the best offensive line in the SEC. I mean, they return a bunch of guys that are really good. And again, the second year in the system, you expect to be markedly better. You can't have any regression from what you did in the spring and the summer going into camp. You're right about UTSA. UT San Antonio is the fastest growing school in the state of Texas. And high school football in Texas is so good. And they have a former Texas State high school coach running the program, and he's doing a great job. But I think A&M is going to make great strides this year, and they will not overlook Texas San Antonio. But I expect Marcel Reed to become a more efficient passer than what he has. We all know what he can do with his feet. But behind this offensive line, and if they can get a little bit of a running game going, that quarterback run game becomes huge for Texas A&M. And defensively, shoot, they're going to be good. I mean, Mike Elko's always had good defenses.
Yeah, and he's from New Jersey. I think he's very smart coach.
Went to the University of Pennsylvania.
Wow. But he probably walked by the Wharton College of Business. But if you went to Penn and you're a Quaker, that automatically qualifies you for the Mensa Club.
He was the defensive player of the year in the Ivy League his senior year. Yeah.
Okay. And speaking of that, Barton Simmons, who was an all-Ivy League safety at Yale, played at MBA with Clark Lee. MBA, as Mary says, home of the Gentlemen Scholars, and they are serious about it. And Barton's doing all that recruiting stuff with Clark Lee now at Vanderbilt. Coach Johnson, let's talk about the doors. Roman Harper was on with us Friday morning. Love that guy. Out of Prattville, a proud Prattville line. You probably recruited a player or two out of Prattville, Coach. They right up there above, right by the Bass Pro Shop on 65. I'm thinking about this. Clark Lee is real quiet, deliberate in everything he says. I think he's a hell of a coach, and he's got Stovers as tight end. He's got a quarterback, no question, who's the quarterback on that team. What can Vanderbilt do? Can they surpass the 7-win total? They got that 7th against Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech is a pretty damn good football team.
It'll be tough. And I mean, I certainly think Clark Lee's about as good a match for that institution as you can find. Unless something's changed there, Vanderbilt never has and never will make the commitment to be a really, really good football team in the SEC. They may think they are, but I mean, they're just so far behind in so many ways. And the age of the NIL and the portal is not really an easy time to come in and take a program from the bottom half of the conference to the top half. I mean, look at Mississippi State. They've had times in their history where they've competed right at the top of the league. And right now, it's so hard for them to get out of the basement with the environment that college football is now. But I think Clark's done as good a job as anybody could do there. I don't think anybody's ever going to surpass what Bobby Johnson did. I'm a little partial to Bobby, but I think people forget just how good they were when he was there. I mean, they were competitive every time they went on the field. They didn't have 30-point blowouts. And he took them to the bowl game, and hell, he beat Alabama, and he did a lot of things that have not been done at Vanderbilt. So I don't know. I don't know where. I think it's a great thing, Pavia and all that. And he got his 8th year to play, and they can play one more year off of him. I don't know. I just don't know what the combination is that brings Vanderbilt to being a competitive team in the top half of that league.
Yeah, and what Chris Lee, Southeastern 16, always says, they got to ask more people.
Hey, Rob, money. I had to go down to the Social Security office to check on my standing the other day, and I saw Pavia in line. So that's how old he is. So
yeah, he's a nightmare if you're an Auburn fan.
Well, let me tell you what, though.
You got a good lawyer too.
Yeah, getting those guys from New Mexico State, both coaches and Pavia, that was huge for Clark Lee. Let me tell you, Jerry Kill is one heck of a football coach. Those guys, they brought that New Mexico State offense in, and it's more of an option attack, and Pavia is the perfect guy to run it.
Yeah, but people don't talk about it, but we remember when Jerry Kill was at Minnesota, he had some seizures. And I read something where Diego Pavia, I like Diego Pavia. I mean, I've talked to him a couple of times. I don't know him, but he plays for Jerry Kill. That's one of his inspirations, and his mother. Diego's mom is awesome. You'll see her at every game. And, I asked him a question at Media Days. What'd you learn in year 1 you're going to apply to year 2? And he said, knowing when to take a slide and when not to. Because, I mean, guys, y'all see those collisions as coaches. It's as Dana Marquez says, former director of equipment ops at Auburn, who's now very involved in college football still. And he said it's like being in a 75-mile-an-hour car wreck. That's what Ben Troop says too. And that's why those guys are smiling and hugging each other on the opposing team after every game. It's like, hey, man, we made it. It's incredible, this game. All right, got to ask y'all too. Mississippi State's playing Southern Miss in Hattiesburg, Roberts Stadium down there, one of the hottest cities in America, humidity-wise. It doesn't matter. It's still an in-state rivalry, guys. And Southern Miss, Coach, you were there. That growing up in Memphis and Southern Miss was a great rivalry. I can remember so many games. Southern Miss would have a third of their roster of kids from Alabama that may have been overlooked by Auburn and Alabama, but when you played them, you got a full 60 plus from those guys. What do y'all think happens in Hattiesburg, and how important and why is this game so important to Mississippi State and Southern?
Well, I mean, it's whoever scheduled that game needs to be fired. I mean, I've coached at both places.
Yeah.
And seriously, I don't understand how it could occur. But whatever. When I was there in the 80s, late 80s, we had Brett Favre, who was a pretty good player.
Yeah.
Some people may remember.
Yeah. Favre.
We'd be getting ready to go play Florida State or somebody. You'd have butterflies, and you'd see Brett get on the plane. You'd say, well, we got a shot.
Yeah.
But it goes back. We could take some kids that could not get into SEC. We could take some kids that were willing to sit out a year and do the academic thing and so forth. And one year we took 13 kids. Every one of them could have gone to the SEC. Those standards don't exist anymore. They probably got a little more money because they're in a conference, but it's not enough to make any difference. I don't know why Mississippi State would go down there and play that game. We did play them in Jackson when I was there on the neutral side. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think the game makes much difference to anybody unless you're a state alum and a Southern Miss alum.
Well, I would love to see SEC Network. Here's a documentary assignment we ought to do. A documentary on the world's largest outdoor steam room, Mississippi Memorial Stadium in Jackson, Mississippi. There's no wind. There's no airflow. I was at a game there September 14th, 1990. We'd run the Bluesman Triathlon in Greensville and rode down there, my mom and dad, my sister and me, and watched. Auburn was number 2 in the country. It was 17-10 with about 28 seconds left. Dennis Wallace, number 30, strong safety from Carrollton, Georgia, did a pick 6 at the end. Auburn won 24-10. It was like, I don't know how good this team is. 250 people passed out, and my mother got thrown out for getting in an argument with an Ole Miss fan. I didn't know it was cocktail 30 for Shirley or whatever, but that's a cool stadium. They used to play the double headers there, like they did at Crump Stadium in Memphis. All right, anything else right now? Dave will be back on with us. Yeah, I was going to say bounce around.
No. Ellis.
Yeah.
Were you at Southern Miss with Coach Underwood?
No, I was there with Curly. Curly Hallman.
1981, I was the scout for the Dallas Cowboys, and I had to go to Southern Miss. And P.W. Underwood was the head coach. And you talk about a character, and Ellis, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So I get there. They have Reggie Collier. I mean,
Sammy Winder.
Sammy Winder. They have one heck of a team. So P.W. says to me, he said, I want you to come over here and watch this defensive end. I know you're looking at Collier and Winder and Lewis Lips and all these guys. Oh, yeah. He said, but you got to watch this defensive end. He said, I think he's going to be a great NFL player. I said, okay. So after they stretch, they go over and PW, he's Rob. He's 5'9" and about 280. He's as tall, he's as square as he is tall. And I mean, he goes running over and he's got these thick glasses on. He said, all right, come on over here, son. He said, now, here's how you take on the kickout block. He said, hey, come here. He said, watch this guy. He said, he's going to give him a flipper. He's going to knock him back. He said, this is what y'all need in the NFL. So they got a scout team fullback. This is back when they're still running the I formation. This fullback takes off and knocks this kid back on the back of his head. PW walks over, looks at him. He says, son, what's wrong with you? I'm trying to get an NFL scout to give you an opportunity. He said, gotcha, coach, gotcha. He said, get back in there. Kid does it again, knocks him back. PW finds says, son, here's how to do it. He said, you step up with that front leg, you anchor that back leg, you throw that flipper. He said, you make a fist, you put your wrist on your hip, and boom, you bring he said, come on, boy. And the kid says, coach, you got no pads on. He said, I know that. Come on.
P.W. Underwood, that's a name.
So now this kid's okay. He takes off. P.W. knows. I mean, he can't take a step. This kid hits him. He goes flying. His glasses go one way. His whistle goes, and he's on the back of his head. Trainer comes running over to coach. He says, get away from me. He goes over to the defensive end and he says, son, you got this position so screwed up, nobody can play it.
I love it. Well, I mean, the thing is, Southern Miss is a program that we all remember growing up. They were fun to watch, but it matters in Hattiesburg. It matters in Starkville. It matters everywhere. Guys, we're about out of time. And, I know it's elk season out in the Northwest. Dave Bartoo, we'll see you one day this week. Looking forward to having you back on. This has been an awesome conversation. So we got about 5 minutes left, but each of y'all kind of give me a 30-second Cliff Note version of what we need to be paying attention to for officially week 1. They call it week 0. We'll call it week 1. I'll start with you, Coach Johnson, for this weekend. Anything that jumps out we need to focus on?
Well, I think the thing, obviously, those 2 marquee games, they're not going to make or break the season, but it'll certainly put a temper on both of them. So Clemson, LSU, and Texas, Ohio State, I don't know how much you could ask for, even if you're not fans of those schools. Yeah. Those are 2 great openers to keep an eye on. And then I think that Virginia Tech, Carolina, that's one I would say look out for an upset alert.
I'm going to be there. Pete?
I'm with Coach Johnson. I think LSU Clemson's going to be one heck of a game. Texas, Ohio State. I can't remember a better opening weekend in college football nationally, and especially in the SEC. And then the one game that there's 2 games really, and they have nothing to do with the SEC. Notre Dame, Miami on Sunday, and then TCU, North Carolina on Monday night with Belichick's first game. But those will be national. But in the SEC, LSU, and like Ellis said, so many people are on Brian Kelly about not winning the opening game. Arch Manning, the hype finally becomes, how realistic is Arch going to be? And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he struggles a little bit throwing the football in this first game. Yeah. But again, you know what? It is his first game. And then Alabama with a new quarterback, with, and just seeing how this goes. Auburn, that's a huge game at Baylor.
Oh, yeah. They're all big. Look, the Monday Blitz with Ellis and Pete and Dave. Dave, again, hopefully he got him a big elk today. He's out scouting. But we'll do this again next Monday. And Coach, what were you going to say?
Rob, real quick, there's one other game. It's a huge game. The Murray State Racers are coming over to play the East Tennessee State in Johnson City. One of the greatest coaches in the NCAA, Eli Johnson Jr., is a graduate assistant on that racer staff.
Absolutely.
So just look out for that. And if anybody's got a full-time job next year, he definitely is available.
Damn right. Guys, thank y'all more than you know for your time. We'll do this again next week. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.
You bet, guys. All right, let me say something about sponsors. Landers Ford, people, you got to get into a car, truck, or an SUV, and it's kind of daunting when you go to a car lot. Brad Bellamy, the general manager, his great-grandfather wrote the Pledge of Allegiance of the United States of America. Brad is I love this guy. And he works for a company that's everywhere in the Mid-South, and anywhere you are, they can deliver. Get online, landersfordmemphis.com. They've got all the new vehicles. I think they're top 5 in the country for sales of Expeditions. They've got the Broncos in, all the Ford Explorers, the Ford Escapes. They've got them in a lot of sales, a lot of options to save and save big, okay? Escape Active. Look at all these sedans, and their service department is open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You will love working with these people. Brad Bellamy, the folks at Landers Ford. If you didn't buy your last vehicle from Landers, you probably paid too much. And I say something, they are right down the street from our good friends at Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. HewlettandDunn.com. Check out on Instagram the boot of the week. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, kids, they've got kids' boots for less than $40. Little kids' boots. They're awesome selection. Men's and women's boots. They've got Barber, Filson. The orders are coming in daily. Incredible selection. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And no matter what you are, age-wise, how you fight, how you live, the great folks at Rumble Boxing, Union and McLean in Midtown Memphis, open every day of the week. Get the best workout imaginable. And look, Dave will be back with us. Lights Out gummies. These things work. I take them at night about 30, 40 minutes before I go to bed. 25% off. Use code Sidelines at checkout. Pro Athletes Hemp Association. That is Dave Bartoo and College Football Matrix. For executive producer Brendan Martin, most often we We see the face of Christ in the least among us, the most blessed people in the greatest country in the history of the world. Have a great day and watch this channel.